Native American and Alaska Native Heritage, the living roots of America. Hook. Imagine a continent where every mountain, river, and forest resonates with stories stretching back thousands of years before Columbus. Picture a country where more than 570 sovereign nations still preserve their languages, ceremonies, and wisdom, even as they adapt to the 21st century. This is the living, evolving heritage of Native American and Alaska Native peoples, the original stewards, storytellers, and survivors of what is now the United States. 1. Origins, the first peoples of the land. Before European contact, the land that would become the United States was home to millions of indigenous people belonging to hundreds of nations. Diversity of nations, from the Haudenosaunee, Iroquois, Confederacy of the Northeast, to the Navajo, Diné in the Southwest, the Cherokee of the Southeast, the Lakota on the Great Plains, and the Tlingit and Inupiat in Alaska. Each nation developed its own language, government, spirituality, and ways of living. Ancient roots. Archaeological evidence points to at least 15,000 years of continuous indigenous presence, with sophisticated agricultural, engineering, and artistic traditions. After this topic, these nations were not static. They traded, migrated, and adapted, shaping the land and each other's histories long before the arrival of settlers from Europe. 2. Contact and conflict. A new world unfolds. The arrival of Europeans in the 15th and 16th centuries set off centuries of profound change, upheaval, and resistance. Early encounters. From the first meetings with Spanish conquistadors in the Southwest and Florida to English and French colonists along the Atlantic and Great Lakes, Native nations responded with curiosity, diplomacy, and caution. Disease and demographic collapse. Introduced diseases, smallpox, influenza, measles, devastated indigenous populations, sometimes killing 80–90% in affected areas. Trade, war, and alliances. Indigenous nations became powerful players in the struggle between European empires, forming alliances, trading furs and horses, and at times waging war to defend their territories. After this topic, despite catastrophic losses, Native communities survived, adapted, and continued to assert their rights and cultures. 3. Displacement and survival. The cost of expansion. As the United States expanded westward, federal policy increasingly focused on removing Native peoples from their ancestral lands. Indian removal and the Trail of Tears. In the 1830s, the forced removal of the Cherokee, Muskogee, Creek, Seminole, Chickasaw, and Choctaw from the southeast to Oklahoma became emblematic of the heartbreak and violence of Indian removal. Thousands died along the Trail of Tears. Reservations and treaties. Throughout the 19th century, the U.S. government made, and often broke, hundreds of treaties, confining Native nations to reservations and opening vast territories to settlers. Alaska Natives. In Alaska, Inuit, Yupik, Aleut, and other indigenous peoples maintained their lifeways amid Russian and later American colonization. After this topic, despite forced relocation and attempts at cultural erasure, Native nations preserved their traditions and sovereignty, often at great cost. 4. Resistance and resilience. Standing firm. Native American and Alaska Native history is not just a story of loss, but of relentless resistance and creative adaptation. Leaders and warriors. Figures like Tecumseh, Geronimo, Sitting Bull, Chief Joseph, and Sacagawea became symbols of leadership, diplomacy, and resistance. Cultural survival. Even as government policies like the Dawes Act and boarding schools sought to erase Native languages and identities, families and elders continued to teach traditions, language, and ceremony in secret. Modern activism. The 20th century saw a resurgence of Native activism. The American Indian Movement, AIM, and actions at Wounded Knee and Alcatraz Island demanded justice, treaty rights, and respect for sovereignty. Alaska Natives won landmark land claims, leading to the creation of the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act. After this topic, today Native peoples continue to fight for land, water, and treaty rights, using both the courts and the power of protest. 5. Sovereignty and self-determination. Nations within a nation. Native nations are not mere ethnic groups. They are sovereign governments with political, legal, and cultural autonomy. Tribal governments. More than 570 federally recognized tribes govern their own affairs, operating courts, police forces, schools, and businesses. Sovereignty in action. Tribes manage natural resources, negotiate with federal and state governments, and run casinos, energy projects, and conservation programs. Alaska Native corporations. Unique to Alaska, these corporations manage land, business ventures, and cultural programs on behalf of Alaska Native shareholders. After this topic, sovereignty remains a living principle, fiercely protected and continually asserted in the face of ongoing challenges. 6. Languages, culture, and the arts. Living traditions. Native American and Alaska Native heritage is a tapestry of languages, ceremonies, arts, and knowledge systems. Linguistic diversity. Hundreds of distinct languages are spoken or remembered, from Navajo to Ojibwe, Cherokee, Lakota, Yupik, and Hawaiian. Language revitalization efforts are underway across the country. Ceremony and spirituality. Powwows, potlatches, sundances, and other ceremonies remain at the heart of community life. Spiritual teachings guide relationships with the land, ancestors, and each other. Traditional and contemporary arts. Native artists create everything from beadwork, pottery, and weaving to contemporary painting, film, and fashion. Artists like Maria Talchief, Joy Harjo, and Sherman Alexie have brought indigenous creativity to national and global stages. After this topic, culture is not static. It evolves, absorbing new influences and responding to new realities while honoring ancient roots. 7. Contemporary life, strengths, challenges, and innovation. Native Americans and Alaska Natives are present in every state, with major populations in Oklahoma, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Alaska, and beyond. Population and urbanization. About 6.7 million people in the U.S. identify as Native American or Alaska Native, many living in cities, others on reservations or in rural communities. Health, education, and opportunity. Native communities face disparities in health, education, housing, and employment, legacies of colonization and underfunding. Yet tribes and Native organizations are pioneering solutions, community health programs, language immersion schools, and economic development initiatives. Leadership and representation. Native Americans serve as tribal leaders, state legislators, mayors, and in Congress. Deb Haaland, Laguna Pueblo, made history as the first Native American Secretary of the Interior. After this topic, these achievements stand alongside ongoing struggles, like the fight to protect sacred sites, water rights, and the well-being of Native youth. 8. Environmental stewardship, guardians of the land. For millennia, Native nations have been caretakers of the land, knowledge now recognized as vital in the age of climate change. Traditional ecological knowledge. Practices like controlled burns, sustainable hunting and fishing, and respect for animal and plant relatives are increasingly studied by scientists and conservationists. Contemporary movements. After this topic, 9. Cultural revitalization, healing and hope. Language revitalization, youth leadership, repatriation, and restorative justice. After this topic, 10. The road ahead, living nations, enduring wisdom. Native American and Alaska Native heritage is not just a relic of the past, it is a living, evolving force for the future. Sovereign futures. Resilience. Native American and Alaska Native heritage is not just part of the nation's story, it is the story's foundation, and it is still being written every day.